So you're preparing to become a manager for the first time. This video is about preparing you to become a great manager and making that event a positive inflection point in your career. So stay tuned. Welcome to Careerscast. As you develop as a professional, there will be a point where you're going to be either contemplating or you're going to be asked to make the transition between an individual contributor and an organizational manager. And that's a big transition because the skills you need to be a manager are very different from the skills you need to be an individual contributor. And that is my argument. It's a great challenge, but it's a great opportunity for you to build success for the future. So let's talk about that. We live in a strange paradox where our educational system is such that we spend a lot of time, right? If you are an early career professional, you spend a lot of time in your life acquiring the skills, the technical knowledge that you use to do your work. But then just a few years in, you become a manager and you need to develop and apply a completely different set of skills. And those skills are not taught in school. So you need to learn those skills by observation, by interaction, and by studying on your own during the first years of your career. And the funny thing is that for the next 30 or 40 years of your career, 90% of your career, your performance, your success is going to be defined by but how good of a manager, how good of organizational leader you are, not based on how well you know the technical knowledge that was important to do the work as individual contributors. So that's a paradox. And because of that, right, it is very common for a brilliant student, right, a brilliant individual contributor be promoted to a manager and they become bad or mediocre managers, right? And it's also very common that a mediocre individual contributor, when promoted to a manager later, because they are going to be lower performing individual contributors, but when they make the transition to manage, they become great managers, great organizational leaders. So regardless of whether you're brilliant technically, right, as you will develop your career as individual contributor, there is an opportunity for you to prepare for that transition. And if you're a better manager than your cohort, you're going to advance your career much faster, not for the first year, but for the rest of your career, right? And that will create much better outcomes in the long term with very little investment up front in preparing you for that transition. So what are the skills that you need to develop as a manager? We're going to talk about them. Before that, let's talk about the responsibilities, right? The responsibilities of a manager encompasses two main areas. I think the first one is the functional project management, right? As a manager, I'm responsible for the coordination, the setup, and the monitoring of the work of my team. So I need to be able to receive, a bigger problem, a big system, a big project, right, from the company. I need to be able to break it in smaller parts, and then assign tasks to people in my team, right? So that process of decomposition of bigger problems and small problems is part of the project management function. And then as people start executing on their tasks, I'm responsible for monitoring the execution. I am responsible for coordinating the work of everyone in the team so that the outcome of everyone comes together, right, and delivers on the goals and the objectives of the team. So that process of synthesis of the solution and delivery is also part of the responsibility of a manager, right? And as a manager, I might also be asked to coordinate with other managers of other teams so that to make sure that the work we are executing here, right, is coherent with the work done elsewhere, and then we can deliver the big solution for the company. So that project management function is an important part of the responsibility of a manager. The other part, which is also important, is the organizational leadership, right? Is being able to manage the processes and the relationship between employees and the company. So as a manager, I'm responsible for the communication flow right? Make sure that leadership, uh, when leadership is talking, right, that communication is reaching every employee in the company. It is part of my job also to the flow, the reverse flow of information, make sure every employee is listened by the company, right? It is my as a manager is I manage the workspace, I manage the well-being of my team, and I need to make sure I set up a healthy culture. I promote collaboration between members of the team. I manage conflict if there is a need to, right? It is also part of my responsibility to manage the human resources relationship between company and the employment relationship, right? Things like managing vacations and monitoring performance, intervening if performances doesn't match the standards, and in general, right, maintaining that relationship between company and employee. So there is a whole set of company related, corporate related responsibilities that a manager needs to perform as well. And again, we leave school without a lot of preparation for that. So the advice is, since you're a student, since you're an individual contributor, pay attention to those areas of responsibility. You need to learn and prepare for that by observation of your managers and by actively going and studying, project management and leadership skills. And before we leave today, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between management and leadership. Management is about, the metaphor I like to use is, management is about pushing people to deliver on their work. So it's about giving them goals and measuring their performance, and enforcing the timelines and the budgets for the projects, right? So management is about pushing people, and I think leadership is about pulling, right? Leadership is about creating inspiration at high level, visibility of the goals of the company and the mission of the company, so people are inspired and motivated to do the best they can, right, to contribute to that result. And management and leaderships are two sides of the same coin. Every manager needs to be a leader. Every leader needs to be a manager. And when those things are in sync together, then the company moves forward, management can do their job, right? And the company is successful. If this discussion was useful to you, please share and subscribe. And see you in the next episode of Careers Cast. Bye.